I first got there, and one of the things I remember about getting there is, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I was so tired, but I couldn't even like stand on my feet. I was so dizzy. But I was excited to be there. Obviously, I was excited just to see the things around me. It's so different, but it was great. We went up to the mission president's home. He gave us, a little pep talk, I guess, and then sent us out. Gave us our trainers. I remember we got to the house and I was just unpacking my stuff, and my trainer asked me, do you have any questions? And I was really curious about this thing called the balut. That's a food over there. It's a duck egg, a boiled duck egg that actually has a baby duck in it. And so, if you're gonna go there, gotta try that. He's like, I just wasn't sure if it was allowed, if we were allowed to eat them. He's like, oh yeah, that's allowed. I was like, cool, I'd like to try that. And about 5 minutes later, someone walked by selling one. He's like, you want to try it right now? So I was like, I guess so. So my first day there, I got that out of the way. It's not too bad. So then at night, we didn't have much time left because the day was pretty much spent, but we went out and we met a few of the members, and that was a lot of fun. I obviously couldn't understand anything they were saying, and I'm sure I probably just like bore my testimony or something to them, but it was just fun to get out and meet people and kind of get a little view of the culture that I was going to be spending the next 2 years in. So, special day. So, Quezon City North Mission was formed in 2011, so it's a fairly new mission. So I had the first ever mission president in the Quezon City North Mission, President Sperry. It's a really small mission. The whole mission is about 30 square miles. So if there were no traffic, you could get across that thing pretty quick. But there's traffic. So really small. All the areas are really small. It's one of the few missions in the Philippines that is a purely Tagalog mission. Most missions have multiple languages in them. It is on the island of Luzon, which is the biggest island in the Philippines. And I know when people picture thousands of little islands in the Philippines, our mission was just on the one main island. It didn't have any outlying islands. It's very populated. I believe there are about 6 or 7 million people in our mission, and that's in that 30 square mile chunk. So very populated. Most of the churches over there are wards. When I got there, it's probably, I would say 60% wards, and now it's probably closer to 90% ward, 10% branches. So the church is growing out there, and it's big. Most of the wards you'll serve in will have 150 to 200 members in them that are active. So things are going really well. It's one of the few missions in the Philippines where you actually get to go to the temple, so that's a plus. The temple isn't in our mission, but it's just right outside the boundaries. And so most of the missionaries get to go. The ones in the really far areas do not. So you just have to wait till you're transferred, I guess. But that was a major plus we got to go about once a transfer. So, Quezon City, it's very, very populated. So there are people everywhere. So many. It's incredible. Most of your areas will probably have, 50,000 people in them, even though it's just, could be just a couple blocks. There'd be that many people. So most of the houses are very small. A lot of them, they're called squatter houses. They're just made on land that's not actually owned by the owner, and then they'll just make their houses out of whatever they can get their hands on, whether that's just tin or wood or cardboard, anything. So most of them are very, very small, but they also have subdivisions. That's where the more wealthy people live, and they'll have American-sized houses, a lot of them. And those subdivisions will be guarded, really private areas. A lot of them missionaries couldn't even get into. So very populated. Sometimes that leads to very dirty, but they're still beautiful places. We had one area called Navotas. It was right on the Manila Bay. So it was the one area in our mission that actually had beachline property, I guess you could say. And the water was black, and the beach was not sand, it was piles of garbage. But I loved it. Somehow that was beautiful. I don't know why, but it really was great. Transportation, they have 2 main modes of transportation. One is called the jeepney. It's kind of like, it's hard to describe, it's kind of like a big van that just has like an open door in the back. And so like you just wave your hand and they'll pull over, and you get in and just sit down on the benches, and there's way too many people crammed into those things, and then you just like pass your money up to pay. The other is the tricycle, which is just a little motorcycle with a sidecar on it. So you just crunch down in this tiny little sidecar, or you can even sit like side saddle on the motorcycle behind the driver. For work, obviously when you're in Quezon City, there's more work. So a lot of people from all over the Philippines will come to Quezon City or the Metro Manila area to work. So because of that, you meet a lot of different people that speak a lot of different languages, which is kind of unique. It's difficult with teaching at times because you'll meet people that don't really speak Tagalog too well. Whereas in a lot of parts of the Philippines, it's more farming. You're not going to find that so much in Quezon City. It's more, the drivers, jeepney, tricycle, taxi drivers are really big. A lot of people just work at little tindahans or little stores just on the street corner. People, just sell food they make, or, just anything. They'll just sell it on the street, make money however they can, whether that's selling ice cream or rice porridge type stuff, any little thing like that. Weather, the Philippines is always hot. It's never not hot. So we always said in the Philippines, you're always going to be wet. It's either going to be in rain or in sweat. So pick your poison, I guess. Probably the lowest it ever got was in the 80s while I was there. So you can expect the heat. It's hot. But then there's that rainy season as well, where you're just going to get poured on just about every day. So you're going to want an umbrella. That's the weather over there. Just hot. I would definitely say the city's going to be more crime-ridden than serving outside of the city, serving in the province. There's definitely... Luckily, I didn't have too many incidents of my own where I felt like I was in serious danger. I definitely have companions who did. I think for the most part, if you're an American, you're not going to get messed with too much. Although I wouldn't be carrying a big lump sum of cash around with me either. I wouldn't carry more than what's equivalent to $3 or $4 with me every day. Just because, there's not really any reason to take that risk. I would definitely, at night, you have to be more careful. There are certain areas you're going to want to avoid, and it should be pretty common sense, once you're going in super populated, dark areas with small alleys, you're not probably in the best place to be at night. You want to stay out where, it's light and there are lots of people around where you're not going to, where someone's not going to make a scene. But I would definitely say missionaries are protected. There's a lot going on. We'd hear about stuff about every day that happened the night before. But as long as you're where you should be, doing the things you should be, you're going to be fine. The Filipino Constitution was signed at a big church in our mission, so that was kind of a historical site. Zoos, we really like to go to zoos on P-days. Those are fun. I think there's different monuments and historical sites you can find in just about every area. One area we really loved in our mission it's called Wawa, or the Wawa Dam. It's probably the one area that's like really province in our mission, and it's just got a big beautiful river running through it, just giant mountains on both sides. So it was just incredible place. I was actually assigned there as well, so that was really fun. So if you're going to Quezon City North, I'm sure you'll stop by there at least once. The Filipino culture is very, very laid back. They're very chill people, I guess you could say. And they're very, very kind people. Very charitable. It's kind of ridiculous how charitable they are, because they will give you anything they have, even though they basically have nothing, most of them. Sometimes I'd mess with my Filipino companions. I'd just be like, oh, that's a nice shirt, can I have it? And they'd just be like, sure. And they would just take it right off their back and they'd give it to you. And that's how all Filipinos are. Of course, I'd never take it, but they'd give it to you if you really want it. And same thing with food. They don't have hardly any food, but if you're over there, you can expect they're going to give you something. Whether it's just a small snack or a big meal. Very, very charitable. Filipinos don't see Americans too often, so when they do, they get very, very excited. One thing they always say is, "Hey Joe." If they see an American, whether it's a man or woman, they're going to say, "Hey Joe." That just comes from World War II when the GI Joes were over there. And that's just stuck ever since. That's what they know Americans as, is Joe. And so they'll get very excited when they see you coming down the street. You'll hear that about every 5 seconds. The little teenagers love to yell at you and laugh, but they're not doing it to be mean, even though it sometimes seems that way. They're really just doing it because they're excited to see an American. So it's different, but they're very, very kind. The culture, in a lot of ways, is very Americanized. They love American culture. They love our sports. They love our music and clothing, our style. But they also do have, their own rich tradition that they don't lose track of. They still love their own music. They have their own dance styles. It's fun to see their traditions, their culture. I had something else I was going to tell you about. Holidays, that was it. They do have some interesting holidays. They celebrate, most of our holidays. Christmas was fun over there. It's different. On Christmas, I only spent one Christmas in the Philippines. The other one was in MTC. On Christmas Day, we woke up and everyone is dressed up really nice. They're just all out on the streets. No one's working, but everyone's on the streets and all very nice. And then they go around to their friend's house and they basically ask for presents. So it seems more like Halloween. But it was cool just to see people, and they're all so happy. There's just something different about that day. Everyone's happy. No one's working. They're all just, spreading love, basically. That was interesting. New Year's was crazy. I've never seen so many fireworks in my life. Couldn't even hear yourself speak. They're just constant. And that was in an area where fireworks were actually illegal. So it was pretty intense. Another interesting one is November 1st. They have Araw ng Mga Batay, yung All Souls Day or Day of the Dead. Basically, people will go to the cemetery where their loved ones are buried, and they'll just light candles. And some of them will bring food and stuff, kind of representative of feeding their dead. It's an interesting day for sure. It's hard to find people to teach on those holidays, but they're cool. The biggest thing I admired about the Filipino is just how charitable they are. It was pretty outrageous, really, because they really will. They'll give you anything they have. They'll go hungry just so they can feed you, the missionaries. If you ever, almost always when you go to their house for a dinner appointment, a lot of times they won't sit down and eat with you. And then you'll be like, "Oh, sister, come eat with us." And they'll always say, "Oh, we already ate, we're full." They'll always tell you that. I'm sure it's hardly ever true, but that's what they tell you, and they'll give you everything. I actually tried. I did an experiment at the end of my mission where I just tried to be as charitable as a Filipino. And it was literally hard. I had to exert myself so much. And I just found that my food and my money was just like disappearing so fast because I was, buying snacks for my companions and just small things like that it's just their everyday culture to them. It's so normal to them. They don't even notice that they're being charitable. So I always respected that a lot from the Filipino people. So a staple of their food is definitely rice. Filipinos eat rice 3 meals a day. As a missionary, I didn't always do that. I'd find ways to eat other stuff because I wasn't that accustomed to it. But there's rice, and then usually what they do is they have what they call ulam, which just means something that you put on top of rice. Usually that consists of like a gravy type substance mixed with, chicken or pork, and then just vegetables. Filipino food is very good. Very, very good. You don't have to fear at all that you're not going to like it because it's delicious. May not be the most healthy stuff, but it's very good. So I enjoyed it a lot. One thing I would definitely recommend to missionaries is when you get there, start learning to cook immediately. Take advantage of your Filipino companions, even just Filipino members, learn how to cook. I think you'll feel a lot better if you're eating real meals as opposed to, hot dogs and canned food every day. That's something I waited too long to do, but once I really started cooking Filipino foods, I just felt a lot better every day. They're delicious, can't complain. So food was great. There were definitely some unique things. Filipinos will eat just about any part of a pig or a chicken. So chicken heads, chicken feet, chicken intestines, or pig fat, pig eyes, pig heart. They'll eat it all. But most of it is really better than it sounds. I didn't have a problem eating any of it. The blood, they'll eat the blood too. Other unique foods, I had eel. They eat snake and frogs. You don't see that too much. Dog is a delicacy over there, but it's actually illegal now, so might not get it in your mission. But no, the food is all very, very good.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say on the topic, while we're on the topic of food, about any drinks or desserts or anything, or do you want to move on to another topic?
There's so much to talk about. One thing I really enjoyed, a few things, was it's called banana Q, where they just take little baby bananas and they put them on a skewer, and then I don't know what they do exactly, like roll it up in cinnamon and sugar and kind of deep fry it. Very, very good. So try that if you're on there. And then they have a drink called taho. I don't really know exactly what it is. It has like tofu in it, I know, and it's made with soybeans. It's very sweet, tastes like honey. It's delicious, and I'd pay to have some of that right now. But so don't be afraid to try new things over there. It's all good. So the Tagalog language is pretty interesting. It's been influenced a lot by Spanish and also English. So they used to have their own ancient writing style, but you won't find anyone anymore that uses it. They just use, the same characters that we use in our alphabet. Like I said, a couple hundred years ago, they were taken over by the Spanish. So there's a lot of Spanish influence in the language. Just one example, to say, how are you in the Philippines? You say "Kumusta," which just comes from, "Como está" in Spanish. So there are a lot of words that will come from Spanish. They use Spanish numbers a lot of the time, even though they still have their own, Tagalog numbers. And then there's even words that, really come from English. For example, to say you miss someone, you say "na me miss." So it still has the word "miss" in it. They just, I guess, like Tagalogize it to make it work for their language. So it's constantly changing. Even if you just move from one area to another, sometimes they'll use, like, their Tagalog will be more deep than in other areas. Words will change, and you'll just have to learn the lingo of the area, I guess. A nice thing about the Tagalog language is that vowel sounds don't change. So it's kind of a pain learning English when all the, vowels can make multiple sounds, but it's not like that in Tagalog, so it's a little easier. I definitely made a few language mistakes. One of the biggest ones I made, it wasn't because I was new or didn't know the language, it's just because I just slip of the tongue, I guess. I was trying to tell a guy he looked young, and the word for young is bata, and instead I said the word baka, which is cow. So I told him he looked like a cow. So that's probably my worst one. Probably the biggest thing I would advise people to do as they're trying to learn the Tagalog language is just do it correctly. A lot of times when you're a new missionary, you really try to just do it as fast as possible so you don't look weird. But it's better just to learn the grammar correctly and then work on speed and pronunciation. When I was in the MTC, it would probably take me a minute to even form one sentence. I would say one word, and then I would pause for 20 seconds until I could think of exactly what the next word was supposed to be and how it was supposed to be conjugated. And then I would say it, and then wait and think of the next one. I would just make sure my sentences were correct. So, even from the very beginning of my mission, my sentences were correct, even though they weren't quick or fluent. They didn't roll off my tongue. I learned it correctly, and I feel like that was a big help for me as I, tried to learn the language. And then just, it's easy to get just kind of slack in your language studies as well. Once you've been out about 6 months, you feel like you've got it down fairly okay. Just like it says in Preach My Gospel, we should try to master the language just in every way possible. So just take advantage of every second of language study you have. Take advantage of your Filipino companions. Do all you can to learn it. So first off, in Tagalog, you won't really hear, there's not really good words for hello and goodbye. So you'll hear English words. They'll say hello and they'll say bye or bye-bye. They do have words, to greet people, but usually they'll say like, "How are you?" which is "kumusta," and to say goodbye they say "ingat," which means like take care. More, it's a better translation for that. So if I wanted to say, "Hello, my name is Elder Hicken," I would have said, "Hello, ako si Elder Hicken." Ako si Elder Hicken. If I wanted to say, "How are you?" you could just say, "Kumusta po kayo?" Kumusta po kayo? I'm good, and you? Mabuti po ako. Ikaw ba? It's just, how I'm good, and you? Mabuti po ako. Ikaw ba? Can we visit you to teach about Jesus Christ? Pwede po ba namin kayong dalawin para makapagturo patungkol po kay Jesu Cristo? Can I repeat that one? Pwede po ba namin kayong dalawin para po makapagturo patungkol po kay Jesu Cristo? Want to come to church on Sunday. Gusto mo bang magsimba sa linggo? Gusto mo bang magsimba sa linggo? Where is the restroom? The word for restroom, they mostly use CR, which is just short for comfort room. That's coming from English. Or you can use banyo, but people don't use it as much. So where's the restroom? You could say, saan ang CR? Saan ang CR? Or I need to go to the bathroom, you would say, kailangan kong mag-CR. Where do you live? Is saan po kayo nakatira? Saan po kayo nakatira? Do you know any Mormons? May kakilala po ba kayong Mormons? May kakilala po ba kayong Mormons? I'm hungry. You want that one? Gutom po ako. Gutom po ako. How many children do you have? Ilan po ang anak ninyo? Ilan po ang anak ninyo? And may we come in? Pwede po ba kaming pumasok? Pwede po ba kaming pumasok? Thank you is salamat. Salamat. Please, they actually don't have a word for please. But a lot of the times with verbs, to make them more polite, they say paki in front of it. So, like if you were going to say, get me that, you would say paki, get me that, to make it more polite. Another important thing is the way to knock on people's doors. A lot of people don't even have doors. So what you do is you walk up to the front of their house, or if their door or their gate, and you yell, "Tao po," and that just translates to people, and then they'll come out and see who's there. Another interesting thing is the word po in Tagalog. It doesn't have a meaning. It's just a word you use to be more respectful. So if you're speaking to someone older than you or your superior, you always use the word po in every single sentence you say. It's just P-O. Rain is a big part of the Filipino culture. You just better get used to that if you're going to the Philippines. There's a couple months it's actually the rainy season, and you'll get rained on basically every day. And not just, little sprinkles either. It's pouring rain. So you will be soaked all the time. For most of the rainy season, we didn't wear our normal proselyting shoes. We actually bought the shoes they have in the Philippines that look professional, look nice, but they're just made of rubber, just because they're just going to be full of water every day. So might as well not ruin your shoes. We definitely had some extreme weather while I was there. We had a few storms where we couldn't leave the house. We weren't allowed to leave the house just because it was too dangerous. The flood waters were too high. It's not uncommon for the members to evacuate their homes and then, go to the church and live at the church for a week or two because the water is just too high. It's also not uncommon for people in certain areas just to have rainstorms that only last an hour or two, but then their whole house is underwater. And then, a couple hours later the water will be gone. It's pretty common occurrence over there. It's just their daily life. We'd have times where it was raining and people were just throwing all their stuff in Tupperwares and garbage bags and just running for the top of the hill, just because the rain comes down fast, and if they're living anywhere near a river, their homes are going to be flooded and just gone. So they make their homes pretty well, make them in a way that it won't be ruined by a storm. There's just brick and cement. Don't have too many material possessions, just because they'd all get washed away anyways. So I just want to talk a little bit about one of the guys that we distracted and started teaching. His name was Rogelio. He's a little bit older guy, probably in his 60s or so, and he loved God and he loved the Bible a lot. And so we were excited that we met him. He loved to drink coffee and he loved to smoke a lot. So when we were there, he was doing those two things. And our first visit, he even brought us out coffee. So we had to, tell him, oh, we actually don't drink coffee. But we taught him about the Book of Mormon, and he said, okay, next time you come back, I'll have this whole thing read. And I said, okay. And so we came back a week later, and he wasn't kidding. He had read the entire thing in that week. And he was very excited about it, and he believed it. He believed that it really was the Word of God, and that it wasn't just made up. And so he started making changes in his life. He previously had been smoking over 20 cigarettes a day, but by the time I left that area, he was down to one. That just happened in a couple weeks' time. And so it was just cool for me to see the power of the Book of Mormon in the lives of the people, and that's really what has to happen when you're a missionary. No matter how good of a teacher you are, or how powerful your testimony is, they really have to gain a testimony of their own, and that's really going to happen through the Book of Mormon. And if they gain that testimony, then they're going to make whatever changes are necessary to draw near into Christ. So as a missionary, it's important just to strengthen your own testimony of the Book of Mormon every day, and then just help others to gain that testimony as well. I just want to talk about what happened at the end of my mission. I had a little over a month left in my mission, and this was right after the big storm in the Philippines where the Tacloban mission was just destroyed. And because it was hit so bad, the missionaries from that mission were being moved to other missions if they hadn't gone home. And so one night I was just out working. I got a call from the assistants, and they were like, are you available right now? You're not in a lesson? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, okay, President's going to call you in just a minute. So we had no idea what was going on. And so I got a call a few minutes later from my mission president, and he said, because the other missionaries are being moved to our mission, missionaries that are close to going home, the First Presidency has asked that you be sent home immediately. He said, you have a choice, you can stay if you want, but they're asking that you leave. So, you can get a hold of your parents, you can talk to them, but I need to know tonight what you're doing. And, obviously as a missionary, you're excited once you start getting towards the end of your mission, you're excited to go home, but that's not really how you want to hear it. So I went and I Skyped with my mom about it, and she was, just reassuring, I guess, that no matter what I would do, it'd be the right decision. Of course, she didn't give me any answers, but it was tough. It's tough just to have the end of your mission, to have them say, like, we want you to go now. We don't want you to finish. So that was tough. I definitely cried a lot. That's the first time I actually cried in the Philippines, was that night. But I prayed about it, and I even asked my mission president, I said, I know you're not going to give me the answer, but what should I do? I need some direction. And he just said, there's no shame in leaving. The First Presidency has asked you to. So that's what I decided I needed to do. And so the next day, I had my bags packed, and we had no idea when we were leaving. The day after that, I got my replacement. So I was in a tri-companionship. All my stuff was in my bag. I was sleeping on the floor for the time being, and we were just waiting for the word. And it never came, actually. The Philippines government wasn't giving us exit visas, so we were just stuck there, and they couldn't make us leave. But It was interesting. For the last month of my mission, I didn't know what day was going to be my last. And even on the last day of my mission, I didn't know until about 9 o'clock that night. They called me and said, pack your bags, you're leaving tomorrow. And then my mission was over. So it just really taught me, just when you're a missionary, you need to serve each day like it is the last day of your mission. And just go hard, work as hard as you can every single day. And I'm grateful that I did get to serve for that last month of my mission. I only ended up going home a few days early. But it's tough to be told that your mission's done. But it was good for me. I remember one, it's kind of a faith building story for me, one that helped me realize the importance of my calling and who I was as a missionary. I was just walking down this dirt road with my companion. We're coming up towards a more major road, and we saw just this huge group of people. And so we were like, that's weird, I wonder what they're all grouped up for. And so we kind of ran up to see, and there had been a motorcycle accident. It was just two girls on a motorcycle. I don't know why they crashed. They probably just slid and crashed. It was a rainy day, the road was wet. But they were just the two girls were just laying in giant puddles of blood. It was one of the crazier things I've ever seen. The one I was sure was dead, because she was just motionless, and the puddle of blood was just huge. The second one also was in that puddle of blood. She was kind of leaning up on her side, just in shock, obviously very, very dazed. And no one knew what to do. No one had any idea what to do. Same with me and my companion. We didn't know what to do. But that's probably about the time that I realized I could probably help them more than anyone else there. And so, I got scared. And that's definitely maybe the most sincere prayer I've ever said in my life. I just said, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to help these girls. I don't know what to do. But just please let this work out. Please let something happen. And right as I, finished my prayer, the girl who everyone thought was dead just stood up. She just stood up, and she almost fell down. People grabbed her, and once they knew that they were both alive, they just threw them in a tricycle, and they just ran to the hospital. So we didn't really have to do anything, and I don't feel like I did anything to help them. But it just helped me to realize, I'm not just a 19-year-old kid in the Philippines running around sharing about Jesus Christ, but we really are servants of Jesus Christ, and we need to be ready always and worthy of His Spirit, worthy of His power and His authority. So if you're going to Quezon City North Mission, you are a lucky missionary. It's a great place. I didn't really know how to feel when I got my call, but I was excited. I didn't know why I was going there, but I'm glad I did. And it might be the same for you. You might be excited or apprehensive, but that's the right call for you. That's inspired call, and you're going to learn when you're in the Philippines why you were called there. You're going to find people that only you can touch. Serving a mission is going to be probably the most important years of your life. You're going to learn so much about yourself and about the gospel of Jesus Christ and its importance in your life and the lives of others around you. It's a pretty special experience to be able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with others. Sometimes we take for granted what we have. We don't realize how big the gaping hole is in the lives of others. Sometimes they don't even realize it. But it's important just to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them. It's important to do all you can to be God's missionary. Don't be your own missionary. Don't do things your way. I think when I got to the Philippines, I kind of treated missionary work like a business. I just went out and I made sure I was doing the right things and working as hard as I can. I felt that the more lessons I taught, the better I was doing. But that's not how it works. We just need to follow Christ in all that we do. Follow His rules, be obedient to His commandments and the mission rules, and just teach by the Spirit. And mission will be an incredible experience, and you'll see a lot of incredible things. You'll do a lot of incredible things.